Rise, my apprentice.
What if Maul had kidnapped and trained Anakin Skywalker? The desert sands of Tatooine stretch endlessly beneath the twin suns, scorching the planet's surface and its inhabitants. For young Anakin Skywalker, a slave boy with dreams of freedom, the harsh landscape is all he's ever known. Yet, despite the oppressive heat and hardship, he clings to his hope of one day leaving Tatooine, of becoming something more than a slave, a pilot, a Jedi, a hero. His life has been a series of ordinary struggles, marked by days of hard labor and nights spent tinkering with machines. But that day, when a Jedi named Qui-Gon Jinn arrived with his companions and entered him into the Boonta Eve pod race, something extraordinary began to unfold. Anakin's victory in the pod race not only earned him the admiration of his friends, but also secured his freedom. For the first time, he sees a future beyond Tatooine, one filled with possibility and the promise of adventure. As he races back toward the ship with Qui-Gon, his heart pounds with excitement and anticipation. The Jedi has promised him a new life, and Anakin is ready to embrace it. But as they near the ship, a dark figure on a speeder bike appears on the horizon. The fierce hum of Darth Maul's crimson blade slices through the desert air, blocking their path. Qui-Gon moves swiftly, igniting his lightsaber and positioning himself between Anakin and the Sith warrior, his stance defensive yet resolute.
Anakin, get to the ship!
Qui-Gon orders, his voice urgent, but Maul's gaze has already locked onto the boy. Beneath his hooded brow, his yellow eyes glint with dark intent, a predatory satisfaction. Anakin stands frozen, entranced by the dark figure before him, a feeling of dread seeping into his bones. Before he can react, Maul lunges forward, his movements fluid and relentless, pressing Qui-Gon back with a series of powerful strikes. Qui-Gon holds his ground, his focus entirely on countering Maul's vicious attacks. But Maul, sensing the Jedi's determination, shifts tactics, his movements calculated and precise. With a swift, unexpected maneuver, he sweeps one leg toward Anakin, knocking him off his feet and drawing him into the fray. Qui-Gon's eyes widen with horror as Maul grabs Anakin, holding the boy as a human shield.
Release him!
Qui-Gon demands, his voice laced with urgency, but Maul only sneers, tightening his grip on the child.
Such potential.
Maul hisses, his voice low and sinister.
You've hidden this one well, Jedi, but he belongs to us now.
Anakin struggles against Maul's grasp, fear flooding his senses as he realizes the Jedi's promise of freedom is slipping away, replaced by a cold and terrifying unknown. Maul's presence is like a void, pulling him into darkness. Qui-Gon charges forward, desperate to free the boy, but Maul's saber flares, forcing him back. With a surge of strength, Maul hurls Anakin over his shoulder, leaping onto a speeder with a sinister efficiency. Anakin's scream is lost in the desert winds as Maul speeds off into the dunes, the sound of Qui-Gon's desperate pursuit fading behind them. The hum of the speeder's engine fills Anakin's ears, his heart pounding with fear and anger as he glances back toward the shrinking figure of Qui-Gon in the distance. Every instinct tells him to escape, to fight his way back to the Jedi who had promised him freedom. But Maul's grip is iron strong, his gaze fixed forward, unmoved by the boy's struggles. When they finally arrive at Maul's hidden lair, a shadowy, isolated cavern away from prying eyes, Anakin is roughly set down, his fear now mingling with fury. He glares up at the dark warrior, his small fists clenched, his voice trembling with defiance.
You can't do this. I was supposed to leave with the Jedi. They're going to come for me.
Maul studies him, a flicker of amusement crossing his face as he absorbs the boy's anger. But he knows he must tread carefully. Anakin's defiance, though raw, is a powerful tool, one that can be molded, sharpened, if wielded correctly. For now, he must quell Anakin's resistance without breaking his spirit entirely. Maul's voice is a low, mocking whisper.
The Jedi? They left you on a dust-ridden planet, a slave, while they carried on with their noble crusade. The Jedi are not saviors, child. They are servants of a republic that cares nothing for you or your people.
Anakin hesitates, his anger faltering as Maul's words sink in. He recalls the years of hardship, of watching his mother suffer, and of the Republic's indifference to their plight. Deep down, there's a truth in what this figure says, one that ignites a fresh spark of resentment.
But Qui-Gon said he would free me.
Anakin stammers, holding on to a fragile thread of hope. Maul steps closer, lowering himself to Anakin's level, his tone shifting to one of cold persuasion.
And yet, he left your mother in chains, did he not? Do you truly think the Jedi will allow you to return to Tatooine to free her? No, boy. They will take you to their temple, use your power for their own purposes, and bind you to their rules. Your dream of freedom will remain just that, A dream.
Anakin's fists clench again, but this time his anger is unfocused, confused. The promises of the Jedi now feel tainted, hollow, as if his hope was a trick played on him. Maul can see the conflict brewing in the boy's eyes, a tempest of hurt and resentment.
But you don't have to be bound by their chains.
Maul continues, his voice dropping to a near whisper, filled with dark temptation.
I can teach you to break free, to harness your power, to seize what is rightfully yours. You could return to Tatooine, not as a slave, but as a conqueror. The choice is yours, Anakin.
Anakin's gaze wavers, torn between the image of the heroic Jedi he once imagined and the resentment now coursing through him. He doesn't trust this figure, this dark stranger who stole him away. But the promise of returning to Tatooine with the strength to protect and free his mother, that he cannot ignore. Maul stands, sensing that he's planted the seeds he needed, allowing Anakin's frustration to fester. The boy's defiance is still there, but Maul knows that the anger he feels can be used, twisted into something stronger. He's won the first step, but he must be patient, coaxing Anakin further down the path, step by step. In the shadowed expanse of a desolate, forgotten planet, Anakin finds himself alone with Darth Maul, his captor and, as he reluctantly begins to realize, his would-be mentor. The planet is shrouded in darkness, with jagged landscapes and ominous red skies that seem to pulse with a latent energy. It's a place strong in the dark side, a hideaway chosen carefully by Maul, far from the gaze of both the Jedi and Sidious. For Maul, every second counts. He knows that by taking Anakin, he's broken the delicate balance with his master, Sidious. Sidious has groomed him in the ways of the dark side, and yet Maul, always ambitious and prideful, sees something in Anakin, a potential that could raise him above his master, an apprentice who could give him the edge he needs to defy Sidious himself. But he also knows Sidious will be coming for him, furious at this bold act of defiance. Maul has severed his ties with his master. Now, he's racing against the clock to turn Anakin into his ally before Sidious catches wind of his betrayal. As they stand in the barren, lifeless surroundings, Anakin glares up at Maul, his face etched with anger and confusion.
Where are we? Why did you take me?
His voice is defiant, but Maul can sense the fear beneath it, a vulnerability he can exploit.
You're here because you have potential, boy.
Maul replies, his tone dark, yet strangely compelling.
Power greater than any Jedi would ever allow you to explore. They wanted to cage you, to bind you with rules, to strip away your freedom under the guise of training you. But I see what they don't. I see what you could become.
Anakin's eyes narrow, distrustful but intrigued.
Qui-Gon, he was going to train me. He promised me freedom.
Maul's lips twist into a sneer.
Freedom? Did he free your mother?
The words cut deep, and Maul sees the flash of pain in Anakin's expression.
The Jedi talk of freedom, but they are bound by the chains of the Republic. They would never let you use your power to achieve what you truly desire.
Anakin clenches his fists, the memory of his mother's suffering on Tatooine mixing with the anger he feels toward Maul.
And what about you? You're no Jedi.
No.
Maul agrees, a fierce light in his eyes.
I am not a Jedi. I am something more. I am not bound by their rules. I am free to pursue my destiny without restraint, and I can give you the power to do the same, to return to Tatooine, to free those you care about, if you're willing to embrace it.
Anakin hesitates, but Maul presses on, sensing the boy's wavering resolve.
But you must understand, Anakin, that what we're doing here must remain a secret. There are those who would stop us, who would see you as nothing more than a threat. The Jedi, and others.
Maul's expression darkens, a hint of genuine fear flashing across his face.
My former master included. He would destroy both of us if he discovered what I'm offering you.
Anakin looks up, confusion etched across his face.
Your master? You're afraid of him?
Maul's jaw tightens, a flicker of frustration betraying his calm.
I do not fear him, but he is powerful, and he will stop at nothing to control those who show promise. He's the one who pulls the strings of the Republic, the one who would keep you as nothing more than a tool. But together, we can defy him. We can rise above him and break the chains he seeks to bind us with.
Anakin feels a mixture of fear, anger, and curiosity swirling within him. Maul's words resonate, tapping into his deepest frustrations and unfulfilled desires. The Jedi had offered him hope, but Maul offers him something more: power, freedom, and the promise of control over his own destiny. Maul steps back, gesturing to the barren land around them.
This will be your training ground, Anakin. Here, you will learn to harness the anger within you, to bend the Force to your will, and when the time comes, we will return to Tatooine. You will have the strength to claim the freedom the Jedi would never allow.
As Anakin stands in the cold shadow of this strange world, he feels a pull, a dark allure he doesn't fully understand but cannot resist. His fear of Maul mingles with a sense of respect and strange fascination. For the first time, he begins to see Maul as something other than a captor. This warrior in the shadows holds the power he's always craved, a path that promises the strength to fulfill his dreams, even if it means walking a path he never imagined. Maul watches him closely, a fierce satisfaction gleaming in his eyes. He knows he has only begun to scratch the surface of Anakin's potential. With time, he will turn the boy's resentment, his desire for freedom, and his hunger for power into a weapon, one that he will wield to defy the master who once claimed to hold all the strings. Years pass in darkness and blood, forging Anakin Skywalker into something unrecognizable from the hopeful child he once was. Under Darth Maul's brutal, unyielding training, he sheds the last remnants of compassion and mercy, embracing the philosophy of the Sith with ruthless precision. Gone are the dreams of being a hero or freeing the oppressed. Those ideals have been scorched away, replaced by the cold, consuming hunger for power. Each day, Maul drives him further, pushing him to the very edge of endurance and beyond, instilling the lesson that strength alone defines worth. Anakin learns that survival is a privilege earned only by those who wield the dark side with unflinching resolve. Pain and anger are his companions, fueling his growth, his hatred sharpened into a weapon. Through countless hours of intense combat and forced training, Maul teaches Anakin to transform every emotion into a potent energy that enhances his abilities, making him faster, stronger, more relentless. Maul holds nothing back. He subjects Anakin to torturous trials, confrontations against impossible odds, and exercises that test not only his strength, but his cunning. Maul ensures that Anakin learns to see the dark side, not merely as a tool, but as an extension of himself, a force he can wield without hesitation or restraint. Anakin becomes efficient and methodical, a true weapon of the dark side. His movements are precise and merciless, his power honed and lethal. In one grueling lesson, Maul traps Anakin in a dark chamber filled with deadly, constantly moving obstacles, forcing him to rely on the Force alone to navigate and survive. When he emerges from the trial, bruised and bloodied but victorious, he understands the lesson. Fear and hesitation are the shackles of the weak, and only by embracing his darkness can he break free. With every grueling test, he discards any remnants of the past, his heart growing colder, his ambition fiercer. But Maul's training goes beyond just physical prowess and mastery of the Force. He fills Anakin's mind with Sith philosophy, teaching him the history of betrayal and ambition that defines their order. He speaks of the rule of two, the eternal cycle of master and apprentice, and the inevitability of betrayal. The boy who once dreamed of serving others now accepts the Sith creed without question, understanding that power is the only path to true freedom. As Anakin reaches 19, he has become a formidable presence, radiating raw, unrestrained darkness. His gaze is fierce, his aura suffused with a menacing intensity that only a true Sith possesses. Maul sees his apprentice's transformation and knows that Anakin is nearly ready to fulfill his purpose. Maul speaks often of his own ambitions, his plan to bring down his former master, Darth Sidious. He tells Anakin of the betrayals he suffered, his hatred for Sidious, and his desire to replace him. Maul sees their growing criminal empire as the foundation of their power, a tool with which they will destabilize the Republic and build an empire of their own. He teaches Anakin that their path is one of vengeance, that Sidious will be the first to fall in their quest for domination. Yet as Maul outlines his grand vision, Anakin listens but remains distant. He doesn't share Maul's fixation on Sidious, seeing the old master as a temporary obstacle rather than the ultimate goal. Anakin's ambitions reach beyond Maul's plan, though he keeps these thoughts to himself. His mind is fixed on something larger, something that even Maul cannot foresee. For now, Anakin is content to follow, to learn, to grow, but in his heart, he knows that his loyalty to Maul has a limit. When the time comes, he will seize his own destiny, forge his own path through the galaxy, and leave behind anyone who stands in his way. The galaxy is at war, planets burn, armies clash, and the Republic trembles under the weight of the Clone Wars. The turmoil and suffering echo across the stars, creating a dark undercurrent that fuels the ambitions of those who seek to reshape the galaxy in their image. In the heart of Coruscant, within the opulent chambers of the Supreme Chancellor, Sidious watches with satisfaction as his carefully crafted plan unfolds. He feels the weight of chaos spreading across the galaxy, the carefully laid seeds of discord finally bearing fruit. But he is not alone in his plotting. Shadows linger at the edge of his awareness, familiar yet twisted, closing in on him with dark intent. Maul, his former apprentice, has returned, and with him stands a figure of terrifying power, a young man cloaked in darkness, his presence in the Force like a tempest held barely in check. Sidious had heard whispers of the boy's potential, but seeing him now, standing beside Maul, he realizes the scale of his own oversight. Maul's voice cuts through the silence, filled with cold satisfaction.
You always underestimated me, Master.
He sneers, his crimson and black tattoos twisted in a cruel smile.
You thought you could discard me, cast me aside as if I were nothing. But I've returned, and I've brought the end of your rule with me.
Sidious's lips curl in a mirthless smile, his eyes narrowing as he studies the young man beside Maul.
So you think to challenge me with this apprentice of yours?
He chuckles, low and sinister.
I should thank you, Maul, for bringing me such a gift, but you are no longer of use to me. I will enjoy watching both of you fall.
Before Maul can reply, there's a flicker of movement beside him. Anakin's expression remains cold, his gaze unflinching as he turns toward his master. With a swift motion, he ignites his crimson blade and without hesitation swings it in a deadly arc. Maul has only a split second to register the betrayal before Anakin's lightsaber cuts cleanly through his neck. Maul's head falls, rolling across the floor, stopping at Sidious's feet. Anakin steps forward, his gaze locked on Sidious as he speaks with a calm, menacing tone.
I am the master now. I am the fulfillment of the Sith. The galaxy is mine to rule, and you are nothing but a relic.
Sidious's amusement fades, replaced by a flicker of genuine alarm. The young man before him is no ordinary Sith. He radiates raw, unrestrained power, a strength that even Sidious finds daunting. But he is the Dark Lord of the Sith, and he will not be undone so easily. Without another word, Sidious ignites his own lightsaber, a crimson blade that snaps to life with a deadly hum. He lunges at Anakin, his movements a blur of Form 7, Juyo, the ferocious and unpredictable style that channels his rage and dark power. Anakin meets him head-on, wielding a brutal combination of Gem So and Form 5, each blow designed to overpower and dominate his opponent. Their lightsabers clash, the room filling with a cacophony of sizzling energy and flashing crimson light. Sidious presses forward, his strikes fierce and relentless, but Anakin stands his ground, meeting each attack with brutal efficiency. He channels the dark side with a mastery that borders on terrifying, his strength amplified by years of rage, betrayal, and ambition. Sidious shifts tactics, calling upon the full depth of his mastery over the Force. He unleashes a torrent of Force lightning, the crackling energy arcing toward Anakin with lethal intent. But Anakin raises his hand, deflecting the lightning with a shield of raw, controlled power. The energy ripples around him, illuminating his face with a deadly glow as he absorbs the attack, his expression unchanging. With a snarl, Sidious hurls debris across the room, using the Force to create a storm of shrapnel and chaos. Anakin weaves through the onslaught, his lightsaber moving in precise arcs, cutting through the debris as he closes the distance between them. He can feel Sidious's desperation, the cracks in his former master's confidence, and he uses it, pressing forward with unrelenting fury. Their duel moves into an intense exchange of force powers, Anakin wielding telekinesis to hurl Sidious back, Sidious retaliating with dark tendrils of energy meant to sap Anakin's strength. But with each clash, Anakin's sheer potential, his raw connection to the dark side, overwhelms the Dark Lord. He has reached his near full potential, his mastery of the Force refined to a deadly peak. Sidious attempts to summon another wave of lightning, but Anakin is faster. With a surge of power, he disarms Sidious, knocking the lightsaber from his grasp. Sidious stumbles, for the first time in his life, feeling the icy touch of fear as he faces a force stronger than himself. Anakin stands over him, his gaze merciless.
The Sith have been waiting for true power. You were always too afraid to wield it. You hid in shadows, manipulated others. But I am the darkness. I am what the Sith were meant to be.
With one final, decisive swing, Anakin drives his lightsaber through Sidious's heart. The Dark Lord's eyes widen in shock and pain before his life flickers out, his body collapsing in a heap at Anakin's feet. As the silence settles over the room, Anakin stands alone, his blade casting a sinister glow across the chamber. Maul and Sidious are gone, and the Sith legacy now rests in his hands. The galaxy is his for the taking, its leaders left powerless, its armies leaderless, with only Anakin standing poised to fill the void left shocked by the destruction he has unleashed. For the first time, Anakin feels the full weight of his triumph. He has become the Sith, the true master of darkness, and with the galaxy engulfed in war and disorder, he is prepared to reshape it in his image, bringing it under the rule of his unyielding power. The age of the Sith has begun, and in its shadow, Anakin Skywalker stands supreme. If you enjoyed this video and want to see a part 2, make sure to hit that like button. Let's get this video to 1,000 likes, and I'll start working on the next part. Also, let me know in the comments if you'd like part 2 to follow a light side version, or keep things dark side. Thanks for watching.